Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're tackling a topic that might surprise you. Preschoolers and cheating.
Cheating. Preschoolers.
Yep, you heard that right. Our source is a 2024 study from Child Development, and it asks a question that honestly blew my mind. Is there a link between how persistent a kid is and how likely they are to cheat?
Hmm. Interesting. I mean, we all know kids can be sneaky sometimes.
Exactly. But this study gets into the nitty-gritty of two different types of persistence.
Okay, I'm listening.
So there's trait persistence. Think of that as a kid's built-in drive to stick with things no matter what. Almost like a personality thing, Like some kids are just naturally more persistent.
Right. Makes sense. And what's the other type?
It's called situational persistence. That's more about how much effort a kid puts into a specific task. And we all know that can change depending on, well, what they're doing.
True. So did the researchers find any connection between these types of persistence and whether a kid would cheat?
Oh, they did. And trust me, the results are pretty surprising. They might even make you rethink a few things about how we raise and teach little ones.
Okay, you've got my attention. What do they find?
Well, first off, cheating starts early. Like, really early.
How early we're talking?
Yeah.
Kindergarten.
Even younger. We're talking 3-year-olds.
Wow. 3. That's pretty young.
I know, right? It kind of challenges that whole innocent little angels image we have of preschoolers, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So how did they figure out if these tiny humans were cheating?
They used a really clever game called Spot the Difference. You know those two pictures that are almost the same but have a few tiny differences?
Oh, yeah. I love those.
Well, the researchers made it extra tough for the kids. Some of the differences were super subtle, almost like tempting them to peek at the answer key.
Sneaky. So did they find that older kids cheated more? Seems like that would make sense, right? More experience with, well, getting away with things.
You'd think so, right? But it's not that simple. They actually got some mixed results when it came to age. In one part of the study, older preschoolers did cheat more, but then another part showed no difference at all.
Huh. That's confusing. So do older kids cheat more or not?
It's a bit of a mystery. And I think it just goes to show how much we still don't know about how kids develop their sense of right and wrong at these early ages. Definitely an area that needs more research.
Totally agree. So we've established that cheating starts young, and the age thing is complicated. But what about that connection to persistence? What about that trait persistence we talked about? The kids who are just naturally inclined to stick with things.
Well, this is where the study threw a curveball. It turns out trait persistence wasn't linked to cheating at all.
Really? I would have thought those naturally persistent kids would be better at resisting the urge to cheat. Like they're already used to putting in the effort.
I thought so too. But the researchers think it might be because those stable personality traits, like persistence, are still forming at these young ages. So maybe that trait persistence doesn't really solidify until later on.
Interesting. So even those little go-getters are still figuring things out, morally speaking. What about that other type of persistence, though? The situational one.
Now that's where things get really interesting. They found that kids who stuck with a challenging task, and we're talking about a task where they couldn't cheat those kids, were way less likely to cheat later on when they did have the option.
Wow. So like helping kids learn to persevere when things are tough might make them less inclined to cut corners later.
That's what it seems like. And this finding was pretty strong. The researchers said encouraging that in the moment persistence could be a powerful tool for helping kids learn honesty.
Makes you think. So basically, teaching kids to stick with things when they get hard might make them less likely to take the easy way out. Fascinating.
I know, right? It's like building those honesty muscles early on. But it gets even more interesting. The study found a sort of downside to cheating.
A downside? What do you mean?
Well, it turns out kids' persistence actually decreased after they cheated, almost as if cheating kind of backfired.
Wait, so cheating made them less persistent. That doesn't seem logical.
It's counterintuitive, right? But the researchers think it's because cheating might create a shortcut mindset. Once they've experienced succeeding without effort, they might not be as willing to try hard the next time.
Oh, so it's like they've learned they don't need to try hard to get what they want. That's a bit concerning, especially when they're still so young and forming their learning habits.
Right. If they start depending on those shortcuts, they might miss out on learning those really important skills and that feeling of accomplishment that comes from putting in real effort.
Exactly. And that connects to something we touched on earlier, growth mindset.
You mean that idea that intelligence isn't fixed, but something you can develop with hard work?
Yes. When kids understand that, They see effort as a way to improve. They're not as afraid of mistakes, and they don't feel the need to cheat to prove themselves.
That makes so much sense. So this downside of cheating isn't just about being less persistent, it's about potentially changing how they think about learning and what they believe they can achieve.
You got it. And it's not just about effort either. This downside can also impact their learning in other ways. We'll get into the specifics of that in part 3. It's funny, we ended part 1 talking about that shortcut mindset because it makes me think about all the research on growth mindset.
Oh yeah, growth mindset. That's like the belief that our abilities can grow and change. They're
Yeah.
not set in stone. We can get better through hard work and practice.
Exactly. And, fostering that kind of mindset in kids can be huge when it comes to preventing cheating. When kids believe they can get smarter, they're more likely to embrace challenges and see effort as a path to improvement.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So instead of always saying you're so smart, we should focus more on, wow, you learned so much because you work so hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Highlight the effort, the strategies they used, how much progress they made. That helps them connect the dots between their actions and their successes.
It's like empowering them to write their own success stories, not just labeling them as smart or not smart. Love that.
And the research really supports this idea. Studies have shown that praising effort can actually lead to kids being more persistent and doing better academically. It creates this positive feedback loop. They're more motivated to try hard because they see the direct impact of their effort.
It's like giving them the tools and the motivation to become lifelong learners. So growth mindset is a big piece of the puzzle. What are some other practical ways we can help young kids develop persistence?
Well, one strategy is to shift the focus away from just performance and more towards the process. Create an environment that values learning and exploring over just getting the right answer.
So like letting kids make mistakes without freaking out or punishing them.
Exactly. Mistakes are golden opportunities to learn. When kids feel safe to experiment, try new things, even fail, they're more likely to keep trying because setbacks just become a normal part of the journey.
It's about fostering curiosity and letting them explore without that pressure to be perfect all the time.
Precisely. And, this connects back to what the study found about situational persistence. Remember those kids who stuck with the challenging task longer, the ones who didn't have a chance to cheat.
Yeah, that was a really eye-opening finding. It showed just how powerful perseverance can be.
Well, one way to help kids build that kind of persistence is to break down big tasks into smaller, more manageable steps.
So instead of giving a kid a 100-piece puzzle, start with a 20-piece one and gradually make it harder as they get better.
That's the idea.
Mm.
And with each step they finish, we celebrate their effort and the progress they've made. It reinforces that sense of accomplishment and encourages them to keep going.
I love that approach. It's about making the whole process rewarding, not just the end result. It reminds me of something I've noticed with my own kids. When they're really into something, they'll work on it for hours without complaining.
That's intrinsic motivation in action. It's about finding that spark that ignites their curiosity and then helping it grow.
Maybe those kids in the study who really stuck with that tough task, maybe they saw it as a puzzle to solve a challenge to overcome, not just a boring chore.
That's a great point. It highlights how important it is to present tasks in a way that captures kids' imaginations and makes them feel like they're actively involved in their own learning.
Okay, so we've got growth mindset, breaking down tasks, and tapping into that natural curiosity. Anything else we can do to nurture persistence in kids?
One of the most powerful things we can do is model persistence ourselves.
Well,
Kids are always watching us. They learn by example. If we show them that we don't give up easily when we face challenges, they're more likely to pick up those same habits.
so if I'm working on something difficult and getting frustrated, I might say things out loud like, this is tricky, but I know I can figure it out if I keep trying.
Exactly. It's about making your thinking visible, showing them that even adults have to work through setbacks, but we use strategies and effort to overcome them.
And I guess that means not trying to shield kids from our own struggles.
Absolutely. It's okay for them to see us grapple with challenges, make mistakes, even get frustrated sometimes. It normalizes the experience and shows them that it's not about being perfect, it's about perseverance.
So it's not just about what we say, it's about what we do. We have to be role models of persistence for our kids.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Another powerful tool is feedback. And I don't just mean praise, although that's important too, but specific constructive feedback that helps kids understand their strengths and areas where they can grow.
So instead of just good job, maybe we say, I noticed you were really focused on solving that problem. What strategies did you use?
Exactly. By asking questions, we encourage them to think about their own learning process and figure out how they can improve.
I see. It's about helping them develop that metacognitive awareness, the ability to think about their own thinking.
You got it. Metacognitive awareness is a valuable skill. It lets kids monitor their own understanding, realize when they need help, and adjust their strategies accordingly. And this kind of feedback helps them feel more in control of their learning. They understand that they have the power to improve, and that effort is the key.
It's like giving them a roadmap for their learning journey.
Great analogy. And research has shown that this type of feedback can actually boost their motivation and make them more engaged in learning.
That makes sense. When kids feel like they're in the driver's seat of their own learning, they're more likely to put in the effort needed to succeed.
Absolutely. And this brings us back to the issue of cheating. When kids have a strong sense of self-efficacy, that belief in their own ability to do well, they're less likely to cheat because they trust in their own capabilities.
So it's like all these strategies, growth mindset, breaking down tasks, giving them choices, being role models of persistence, and providing constructive feedback. They all work together to build this foundation of self-belief and resilience that makes cheating less appealing.
You nailed it. It's about empowering kids to be active participants in their own learning, not just passive receivers of information.
So instead of just focusing on stopping cheating, we're actually nurturing a love of learning, a willingness to tackle challenges, and a belief in the power of effort.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, those are the qualities that will help kids succeed, not just in school, but in every aspect of life.
This deep dive has been amazing. I'm already thinking differently about how I approach challenges with my own kids. What stood out to you the most from all of this?
You know what really strikes me is how interconnected all these concepts are. Persistence, growth mindset, intrinsic motivation, effort feedback, they all weave together to create this complex and powerful learning ecosystem.
I agree. It's fascinating how it all fits together. It's not about using isolated strategies. It's about creating a whole approach to learning that supports a child's growth and development in every way. But we've talked a lot about the downside of cheating and ways to encourage persistence. I'm curious to hear more about the specifics of the study. Like, how did they actually measure that decrease in persistence after a child cheated?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore in part 3. We'll take a closer look at the study's details and delve deeper into those intriguing findings.
Okay, I'm definitely looking forward to unpacking that in part 3. Stay tuned, listeners. Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into preschoolers and cheating. It's been a fascinating journey so far. We've learned that cheating starts younger than many of us might expect, and that there's a strong link between a child's persistence and their likelihood of cheating.
And let's not forget that surprising downside to cheating, remember? The one where kids actually become less persistent after they've cheated?
Oh, right. That was such a counterintuitive finding. I mean, wouldn't you think that getting away with cheating would make a kid more confident, more willing to try again?
You'd think so, right? But the researchers propose that cheating might actually lead to a kind of shortcut mindset, where effort starts to seem less appealing simply because they've already experienced success without it.
So it's like they learn that they don't need to put in the work to get what they want, especially at such a young age. That could have a big impact on how they approach learning.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Those early years are so crucial for developing good learning habits and building a positive sense of self as a learner.
right. Because if they start relying on shortcuts, they might miss out on developing those essential skills and that feeling of accomplishment that comes from genuine effort. It's like they're missing a key ingredient in the recipe for success.
That's a great way to put it. And you know, this connects back to the idea of growth mindset. When kids believe that their abilities can grow and change, they're more likely to embrace challenges and see effort as a path to improvement.
They think, I can get better at this if I keep trying, instead of, I'm just not good at this. It's a small but powerful shift in perspective.
Exactly. So this downside of cheating isn't just about a drop in effort. It's about potentially changing how they view learning and what they believe they're capable of.
Okay, that makes sense. But how did the researchers actually measure this decrease in persistence? What did that look like in the study?
Well, they use that clever spot the difference game, remember? The one with the two nearly identical pictures and those super subtle differences.
Yeah, those tricky ones where the kids were tempted to sneak a peek at the answer key.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, after giving the kids a chance to cheat on that first game, the researchers had them play another spot the difference game, just as challenging. But this time, there was no way to cheat. They were closely supervised.
So the researchers could see how long they'd keep trying before giving up.
Precisely. And here's the thing. The kids who cheated on that first game, they gave up much faster on the second one, compared to those who didn't cheat.
So it wasn't just a coincidence. Cheating in that first round really seemed to affect how much they were willing to stick with it when things got tough the second time around.
That's right. And the researchers made sure to consider other factors like age, their natural persistence, and how long they stuck with it during a practice game earlier on. And even after all that, the connection between cheating and giving up sooner was still really strong.
Wow, that's pretty convincing. It seems like there's a definite link between cheating and a dip in persistence.
It does, doesn't it? And I think it highlights why it's so important to see cheating not just as a moral issue, but as a learning issue. It's about helping kids develop those essential skills and mindsets that will set them up for success as learners.
It's about raising kids who are resilient and resourceful, who see challenges as opportunities, not roadblocks.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the big question. If cheating can lead to this shortcut mindset, what can we do to combat it? How can we help kids understand the value of effort and develop that stick-with-itness, especially when things get tough?
That's what we all want to know, right? We've talked about fostering growth mindset, breaking down tasks, giving them choices, modeling persistence, and offering constructive feedback. But is there anything else we can do, especially when cheating actually happens?
Well, I think it's crucial to address cheating directly when it happens, but not with punishment or shame.
Hmm.
Those approaches can actually backfire.
Because it might just make them hide their struggles and resort to cheating in secret.
Exactly. Instead, approach it with curiosity and empathy. Try to understand why they felt the need to cheat. Were they feeling overwhelmed? Did they feel lost or confused about the material? Were they scared of failing?
So it's about getting to the root of the problem, not just focusing on the behavior.
Right. And once you understand the reason behind it, you can work with the child to develop healthier coping mechanisms. Maybe they need help with time management or practice asking for help when they're struggling. It's about giving them the tools and support they need to succeed without resorting to those shortcuts.
It's about empowering them to become resilient, resourceful learners who see challenges as opportunities to grow.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember that we're all works in progress, adults included.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, we all face setbacks, and yeah, sometimes we all take those tempting shortcuts.
A little grace and patience with ourselves and our children goes a long way, especially as we navigate the ups and downs of learning.
Absolutely. And if we can create a culture of learning that truly values effort, persistence, and growth, will not only reduce cheating, but will also help kids develop those essential life skills that will benefit them in every aspect of their lives.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. We've gained a whole new perspective on the complexities of cheating in early childhood. It's not just about right and wrong. It's a window into how kids are developing their understanding of effort, persistence, and their own unique potential.
I agree. And while cheating can be a concern, it's also a chance for us to reflect on our own beliefs about learning and to create environments that truly champion effort, persistence, and growth.
Well said. A huge thank you to our expert for sharing these incredible insights. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it thought-provoking and that it's given you some practical tools to support the young learners in your life.
And remember, learning is a lifelong adventure. Embrace the challenges, celebrate the effort, and never stop exploring.
Until next time, keep those brains curious.